There's a lot to talk about with the NCAA suspension rumors around Sherrone Moore, maybe other Michigan staffers, and I think a lot of Michigan fans are being misled that this is going to be maybe a slap on the wrist, where some of the tea leaves and some of the sources we've been talking to have indicated that it could be worse than what the 2-game suspension and the recruiting restrictions that we've talked about that Michigan has reportedly put on Sherrone Moore and their staff. So you'll want to listen to what we have to say about this very, very important subject. Had team meeting mid-month today, May 15th. We are behind our needed average. We got to get studio time here, producer time. We need 400 likes to catch up on some under-liked videos. So let's put the good vibes out just like we do in the season. Give me a like in the video so we can make sure when we look at the big boards of all the 40 channels here at Chat Sports, we're outpacing our metrics. If you like beating Ohio State, like this video, spread the good vibes, don't jinx it. 2025, 5 straight years of beat Ohio State. Again, let's get going with the show right now. You may want to brace yourself for not having a head coach on the sideline and practice, I guess, for maybe 4 games or 6. And I think there's a lot of credibility out there that says a 2-game suspension that Michigan has imposed, the 3rd and 4th game of the year after the Oklahoma game, is not potentially going to cut it for what the NCAA is looking to, pin something on Moore. He's kind of like the last guy standing. You can't really do anything to Harbaugh, go back and suspend him from the NFL. You can't do anything to Jesse Minter. Can't do anything to anybody else, really. 1 or 2 guys is left, and one of those is Sherrone Moore, because they caught him deleting text messages, which he says and claims aren't anything slanderous or outlandish or anything like that he was trying to hide. Just wanted Stalions' name and his text off his phone. The NCAA is trying to maybe pin him as a repeat offender, given that he was already suspended in the 2023 season for improper contact with a recruit during the COVID safety era of 2020 and into 2021. So I'll go more in on this in a second, but I want to hear what you guys are thinking. I'm going to start by putting the ball in your court. We've been told by ESPN, by that scumbag Pete Thamel and others, that Michigan has self-imposed a 2-game suspension on Sherrone Moore. We serve the 3rd and 4th game of the year. What do you think, as we are 2.5 months to the day, basically, away from the season getting started, right? 2.5 months or 3.5 months? 3.5 months from the season getting started. 2.5 months from fall camp. What do you think? 2.5, I'll put it over there, right? So if you think it's more than that, give me an over. It's Sherrone will serve 3 or more games. If you think it's 2 that we already know about, or even 1 or 0, give me an under. So 2.5 games is going to put the line at over or under. Let me know what you think and why down in the comments. So we'll talk about leadership for you for a second. This has gone on for entirely too long. We knew about the Burgergate stuff. When was that? Like end of 2022, early 2023? Because, there's an investigation, and then the whole Harbaugh and the suspension thing for the first, 3 games? Was it 3 games or 4 games? 3 games of the year. We didn't find out about that until, a few weeks before the season. And then it all kind of parlayed into the Stalions controversy that started in October of 2023. We're within striking distance of October 2025. This has gone on way too long. So much has happened in that time frame that I think there is some leadership malpractice going on at Michigan, from Santa Ono, who was hightailing out the door, to Warde Manuel, who just signed like a 5-year extension, and maybe even Sherrone Moore himself, and whoever is representing him, representing the university legally or with the communications with the NCAA. I told you on previous shows that Michigan They should have just said to the NCAA, how about we take, knowing what they had at quarterback. They knew, right? Sherrone, I love you. I love everything you've done for this school, but you in this program, you knew what quarterback situation you had going into 2024. You unfortunately knew that this wasn't going to be a national championship team with that kind of quarterback play. The right thing to do, right? Maybe we would have lost Colson Loveland or some other players, but I don't actually know if it would have. The right thing to do last year would have Michigan to get rid of this thing altogether. If they thought it was going to continue on, affect a 3rd season, right? Affected 2023. The cloud of it affected 2024 in some ways, and then clearly is going to affect 2025, and we already know that Michigan's going to suspend Sherrone Moore for at least 2 games. Michigan should have stomped this out, should have agreed to something that would have satisfied the NCAA. Hell, take the 2-game suspension last year. Why wait till 2025 when you've got Bryce Underwood, when you've got a team that is maybe ready to compete over the next few years with an influx of talent in this 2025 class with Bryce Underwood and doing a pretty decent job in the transfer portal with guys, some offensive linemen, some defensive linemen from Clemson, Alabama, the Metcalf brothers. I don't understand it, and I think that Michigan should be ashamed that this has gone on so long, and it looks like it could be getting worse. Make sure you guys are joining us, being part of the Michigan Football Report community. It's youtube.com/Michigan TV, but just hit that subscribe button right below the video. Love to have you part of what we do here. We will continue to do all summer long into the 2025 season. So Sherrone Moore. I don't blame him as the main guy, but he is the CEO. He is the head of the program. And, there's a saying out there. I sometimes I have these things in my head, Jack, and I just forget what they are. But it's like what you put up with is what it's one of those things right there. I can't remember the exact saying, but the saying is basically if you walk into your office every day and your chair is rattling and it irritates you every time, but you never do anything about it, you're basically saying, I'm okay with this, right? And so for Sherrone Moore, hey, this thing is hanging over our head. Recruits are asking me about it. The media is asking me about it. The NCAA is still coming at me. What can we do to get this off our plate so I can move forward building the program that I have as a first year last year and now a second-year head coach? Could the suspension derail his career at Michigan if it turns out to be 4 games or 6 games? Or, and this is a big or, I don't think this is likely, but I would say it's at least a 10% chance happening. We saw with the Mavs there tonight. All you need is a 1.8% chance or 6% chance to have something happen. I'm going to talk about more about this in a second, but what if Sherrone Moore gets a 1-year show cause as a repeat offender, right, from the 2023 suspension he had for his Burgergate, yada, yada, yada. And they say, look, you're a repeat offender. You can't coach football for 1 full year. We'll talk about that next. But I did want to tell you guys about Factor. I'm so excited to continue to work with Factor as a sponsor of the Michigan Football Report. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyles. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose some Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. You just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. Get started at factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off. I've told you how much I love Factor, and they are giving you, with the code MichiganChat50 off, they're giving you the opportunity to love it just as much and enjoy it. 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Again, 50% off and free shipping on your first box if you use the website, factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off, and you got to use that code MichiganChat50 off. It's down in the comments and the description of today's Michigan Football Report. So as I teased, what if there? I'm just going to throw it out to you guys, see if you're in the same wavelength as me. Could this thing derail Sherrone Moore's career? I don't know. Would Michigan stick by him if he got suspended for a year? Would they have him back? I don't know. The Saints did with Sean Payton. I don't know if they would. What if they suspended him for 6 games this year and Michigan went 3-3 in those games, right? You've got Oklahoma. You got Nebraska. I think you got USC might be the 6th game of the year. And he comes back to 3-3 and they lose another 2 games down the stretch. So you got back-to-back 7-5 seasons going into year 3. Will they stick by him? What if 2026 isn't the kind of year that Michigan, 26 isn't the kind of year Michigan fans expect? And you've got 3 years of 7-5, 8-4 kind of ball going into Bryce Underwood's junior year of 2027. Does Michigan make a change? Could this derail him? I think it's something to consider because I don't think it is a 0% chance. I think there's at least some chance that the NCAA just says, oh, hey, we've got no power with NIL anymore. We can't stop players from getting paid. We can't stop players from getting transferred. What do we have left? We can go back and get the guys who did stuff, in their opinion, off the field with, Spygate or paying, seeing players during COVID, whatever it was, and we're going to make sure we put a lasting impact on what our power was, and maybe this is the last bit of it in Sherrone Moore and the Michigan football program. It's conceivable. I don't think it's likely. It's conceivable. So ask the question again. Who will be Michigan's coach? So will Sherrone Moore make it to his 4th year is basically what you're asking him there. If it's Sherrone Moore, type Sherrone Moore. Let me know why. And if not, take a guess. Jesse Minter maybe? Would they bring him back even though he got his show cost? Would they go outside the program to somebody completely unrelated to the 2021, 22, 23 back-to-back Big Ten football championship run? Let's get a couple questions here. We got a bunch in our social mailbag call. We'll do a mailbag on Friday, on tomorrow. Go Blue Mike says, which will have a better season, the offense, defense, in your opinion? That's a good one. I mean, it's you lean the defense, and I still would think the defense, given that we saw what Wink Martindale was able to accomplish the last 4, 5, 6 games of last year. Once he, I think, figured out the college game. But on offense, I love the running back situation Michigan has. Offensive line still unknown, wide receiver still unknown. Major upgrade in quarterback, no matter who it is, Mikey Keene, Bryce Underwood, Jaden Davis, even if it's Davis Warren for some reason, major upgrade at quarterback for this team. But in defense, you're losing 2 top 15 picks, right, on the defensive line. You're losing a guy who should have been the first-round pick in Will Johnson. But you bring back a plethora of guys. I think there's 7 or 8 players in the defensive line who will make an impact this season. You've got maybe the 2 linebacker tandem, I'd say up there, top 8, top 10 nationally. And then if Rod Moore's back, which is still a question mark, then I love Michigan's secondary. I think it's a top 5 secondary in all college football. So knowing all that, I'm going to say the defense. But I'll turn it over to you guys. Let's hear the opinions. I'm taking a lot of questions. Just asking you guys what you're feeling. Offense, defense, which are you more confident in? Type O, type D for this 2025 Michigan football team. I'm giving it the D. Marco Albanese with M Sizzle 83. What do you say there? He says, can or will they parlay the Bryce recruiting into top-tier skill position talent, 5-star or high-end 4-star top 50 types? I mean, it's a very, very good question, and I think it's a good for lack of better words, critique of Michigan is they have not turned it into high-level high school football talent. And really, outside of one transfer from Indiana, really anybody of note. At least in wide receiver, got a running back from Alabama as well, but not like superstars. Not like the player Quinshon Judkins coming over leading the SEC in rushing, coming up to Ohio State. They've gotten just guys in the transfer portal and have really had no breakthrough talent at the wide receiver or running back or tight end position since Bryce Underwood committed to this team back in November. So recruiting's a struggle right now, right? Those aren't the national rankings right there. That's the Big Ten rankings, and you don't see Michigan right there. With 5 commits, they're sitting at number 12 in the country, down in the low 40s. A real concern is this NCAA cloud making more of a negative impact. Is Michigan too scared to, give recruits NIL deals, which sounds like it's on pause as well for whatever reason right now? And, this guy's signing day is 6.5 months away, 7 months, under 7 months, I should say, right? Early December, under 7 months away. Michigan has 5 players committed. Nobody outside of Brady Smeagol, I think, that anyone expect to be a impact player in their first 2-3 years in the program. So, interesting question. We'll monitor it as always. But I'll remind you guys, make sure you like the video, put the good vibes out. Let's just say if you like beating Ohio State, like today's video, and we'll be back with a Michigan Football Report show on Friday. Go Blue.